Thanks for joining me. This is Danny, and welcome back to my Botania series, episode number 2. In this episode, we are going to get into runic crafting. We're going to make some special baubles that are going to beef up our character, and what I'm most excited about at the moment is that we are going to start playing with the Mana Blaster. The Mana Blaster is really awesome. It's basically a handheld tool, like gun kind of thing, that we can use to shoot mana, right? So now that might not seem very useful, like we could shoot mana into this pool and put mana in the pool, just like a mana spreader. But where it gets interesting is when we start playing with lenses. So that's the other thing we're going to get into today is mana lenses, which are things that we can put on mana spreaders and mana blasters that do various things. They can change the behavior of mana, they can also interact with things in the world, and the one that I'm most interested in today is the boring lens. Not boring like, oh, this is so boring, but bore like to bore something, like break it, destroy it, to drill into it. And that is what we're going to do with our trees. The bore lens is going to allow us to break down these big, huge trees very, very quickly, and while we're just standing on the bottom. And we can break just about any other blocks with them as well, like almost instantaneously. So we've got our mana diamond, so we're going to make a runic altar. That's what we're going to need for all these wonderful things that I've been talking about today, is to be able to do some runic crafting with our runic altar. Then the runic altar, we'll just place that right here. It needs mana, and then we need to get a mana spreader. Do I have enough living? I don't, so I'm going to break some of these. Mana blaster requires a mana diamond, no big deal, right? Some TNT, no big deal. Some living wood, a pulse mana spreader. So this is basically just a mana spreader that has redstone. These are mana spreaders that you can place in the world, and they will do mana bursts just when they get a redstone pulse, instead of just always doing mana bursts as soon as they get enough mana. And then we're going to need the Rune of Mana, which requires a mana pearl. So, I have to find an enderman, and I have to get myself an ender pearl before we can proceed. This iron sword is really sucking out there, so I'm going to make a mana steel sword, which is really no better as far as like attack damage. However, it is more enchantable, so I'm hoping we can get a decent enchantment. Gain of Arthropods 3, smite. Seriously? Okay, so I grabbed efficiency 1 book. Let's see what we get now. Sharpness, smite, smite. Sharpness is nice, although I would like more than sharpness 1, but whatever. I guess now it's basically a diamond level, so now we can at least hit kill mobs in 3 hits instead of 4. So just to show how enchantable these things are, I had 6 bookshelves in there, and the highest level enchant I could do was a level 12. I got sharpness 1 in here. No, we saw that. On my pick, I got efficiency 2 and fortune 1. First try. And on my axe, I got efficiency 3 and unbreaking 3, which doesn't really help us because we're repairing with mana anyway, but still, that's nice. And I didn't do the shovel because, you know, it's a shovel. But check this out. Nice. So we don't have an ender pearl yet, but we are cutting down trees a lot faster. Actually, pretty fast. Look at that. This is with efficiency too. Nice. It is really nice to be able to mine without having to look at my tool durability all the time and worry about, okay, when am I going to have to make a new pick and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's nice. Are there any mobs? Let's do some runic crafting. I'm going to set that mana spreader up and make sure it's bound to the runic altar. If it's not, I didn't mention this before, but you can use your Wand of the Forest to bind things. So like if we set down an endoflame and we want it to be bound to a different mana spreader than the one it is, or we want to bound a mana spreader to a different mana pool or whatever, we can shift right click and that selects the item. So it's currently selected. We can see that it's highlighted. And then we can shift right click on what we want it to point at, or what we want it to be bound to. So runes are crafting ingredients in Botania that will help us get some of the more advanced stuff, some of the more interesting things. So there are 3 different tiers of runes. 4 basic runes. These are kind of like the old-fashioned 4 elements. We have water, fire, earth, and air. And when we click on them, we can see that they are made in the runic altar, and we need these items in the runic altar. Now the next tier are the seasons. So we have spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And the reason they are the next tier is because they require the first tier. So each one of these seasons requires 2 of the elements. And then the third, well, and then we have the Rune of Mana, which is kind of in a class of its own. And it just requires 7 mana steel and a mana pearl. And that's what we're going to need for our mana shooter. And I still don't have the mana pearl, but we'll get there. And then we have the 7 deadly sins, which require both a element and a season. And 2 mana diamonds. They're all the same, basically, except that they require different first tier runes. Now, when we make the second and third tier runes, it doesn't actually consume the runes used in crafting. We'll get those back. So we really only have to make 1 set of the first tier runes for higher tier runes, unless, of course, we're making a recipe that requires them. So the first thing that I want to do in the runic altar is work toward making a Sojourner sash. This is one of my favorite Botania items for early game. This is going to speed us up, it's going to give us step assist, and it's going to give us a jump boost. So it's going to make us probably make it a little easier for us to go out and hunt Enderman, which is what I really want to do right now, but I'm not having much luck. So we're going to make 2 runes. The first is the Rune of Earth, which requires mana powder. Now, mana powder can be made from multiple things: gunpowder, redstone, glowstone, sugar, and any floral powder. Right now, redstone is probably the way to go because we have lots and lots of that. So I'm going to make every one of our runes is going to require some mana powder and mana steel. For the Rune of Earth, we need a mushroom, we need a block of coal, we need a block of stone, we need 1 mana powder and 1 mana steel. Here it's doing craziness, and right now it is using a lot of mana, well, a fair amount of mana. And you see that little circle is showing us the progress of what it's making right now, and we need to get a living rock ready, because when it's done, we can throw the living rock on top, or we can just right-click with it, and it will end up on the top. And then, ta-da! And it's going to use the living rock. It's going to carve it into a rune for us with all the other stuff. So now we have 2 runes of earth. Hooray! And now we need the rune of air, and we need the mana powder, mana steel, white carpet, string, and a feather. Go crafting runes. And we will automate this eventually, but it's going to be really, really, really tough. In fact, it probably won't even be worth it with the setup that we have, but we're going to do it just for fun. Hooray! Alright, now we have our 2 runes, and now we're going to need 4 leather and a mana steel. There we are. There's a Sojourner sash. Hooray! So we can just right click on this guy and it will be put in our Baubles slot, in our Baubles sash slot or belt slot. And it's going to use a little bit of mana. And it's going to make us faster. So we're just walking now, we're not sprinting. And then this is sprinting. And then here is our step assist. Ooh! Oh, it's raining! Darn it! I'm not going to be able to hunt Enderman tonight. Oh, man, I love the Sojourner sash. It's so nice. Look at me, I'm just running around, not jumping or anything. Oh, I'll grab some of those. It stopped raining, fortunately. I was actually just going to make the Terra Bozu, or Teru Bozu, which it can stop the raining for you if you throw sunflowers at it. But I didn't have any sunflowers. That's like the one flower I don't have. I have every other freaking flower but sunflowers. Alright, I gotta keep an eye on my map for Enderman. Just need 1 Ender Pearl. That's all I want. Get away from me, spider. I'm busy here. I'm busy here dying from a freaking Enderman. Holy crap. Oh, wow. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh. Good thing I'm so fast. I'm gonna go back and get that other one. I mean, that's all I needed was 1, but hey. There's 2 Endermen. Might as well take them. But definitely need to recover first. Ah. Does he have to be by all those other mobs? Here, let me run over here and get him to come over here. Whoa. Man, they hurt. Holy crap. Yeah, that's right. Iron armor. That's all I got. So I didn't get an ender pearl out of that one. But whatever, we got enough. First, mana pearl. Hooray. And 5 mana mana steel. And we're going to bring them over here. Of course, we can just press Q to throw them on there. If we go in our inventory, we can then drop all 5. And we're making our first Rune of Mana. There. Rune of Mana. Okay, there we are. There's a Mana Blaster. Nice! So like I said, it works just like a mana spreader. We can like shoot mana into there, but obviously that's not very useful. But once we get into lenses, this is a good time for us to talk a little bit about mana transport. So when we hold our wand to the forest and we look at a mana spreader, we see this beam, and that's showing us where mana is going. And then there's this special little spot right here. That is the point where we start getting diminishing mana. So it's going to send out a burst from here, and it can go up to this far, and you still get a full mana burst. But any further than this, and you actually start to lose mana. And you can see the particles kind of get smaller and smaller as they go. So you'll actually end up wasting mana. Another thing to know about the mana spreaders is that as soon as they hit something, the mana burst stops, of course. You know, when we hit the mana pool, the mana burst stops, and the mana goes into the pool. When we hit the runic altar, the mana burst stops, it goes into the runic altar. If we put a block there, the mana burst is going to stop when it hits that block. Of course, that's not going to help us very much unless we have a lens on there that's going to do something to that block. There are lenses that will change that behavior. So there's a lens that will make it go further than this spot, but there's usually some kind of drawback, like either it's going to be slower or it's going to be smaller bursts. There are ones that make the mana bursts faster, but they'll make this distance shorter. Now, another thing to note about mana bursts is that a mana burst will not go until the burst before it has completed. So you can see how quickly this is going. Move this further away and we look at it again, we can see it takes much longer. Like the next mana burst doesn't start until the last one reaches its destination. So that's one of the reasons why I set up my mana spreader right by the mana pool, because then the mana bursts will go much faster, and the same here with the runic altar. If you set them up really far away, then they're going to take a long time to get there, and it's not going to pulse very often. So just for demonstration purposes, I turned it that way so that I can show you again how we can bind it. So anyway, let's make this bore lens. So there are lenses that do things to blocks in the world, like the bore lens, which breaks blocks. And we're going to be playing a lot with the bore lens, so this is just going to be the first of many bore lenses that we're going to make. So first we have to make the mana lens, which basically is a lens that does nothing, but every lens requires it. Here we go. There's our bore lens. Now we can take our bore lens and we can put it in a crafting grid with our mana blaster. And we now have a mana blaster with a bore lens. Nice. Now check this out. This is so cool. So I'm just gonna break the bottom couple blocks because I don't want to aim this thing when it has a bore lens. I don't want to aim it anywhere else, just in case I happen to hit the house or something, because this thing is quite destructive. But check this out. Nice. It even has a little gun sound. And this doesn't just break wood, it breaks just about any blocks. So we can use this for mining. Oh, actually you can see down here, the progress bar is showing you how long we're waiting till the next blast. It definitely takes longer the further we get up there. Oh, whoops, I'm pointing. I was looking at the progress bar, I wasn't watching where I was shooting. There. Oh, this is so nice. Oh my god. Oh, it's so much better than climbing that tree. So I'm going to do that with the rest of these trees. By the way, the bore lens only breaks solid blocks. It will not break leaves. It also will not break saplings. I don't know if I can demonstrate that without... Well, here, let me... It will not break saplings. So, whoops. But it will break dirt. So that is going to come in very useful when we get into our tree farming. There are 2 rings that I want to make now. Next, we're going to need... So each of the rings is going to require 4 mana steel. Easy enough. And one of them is going to require a block of clay. The first ring I would like to make is the Ring of Correction. Oh, yes, we actually have to make a block of clay. So the Ring of Correction is actually pretty cheap. It's just a block of clay and 4 mana steel ingots. And it goes in your bauble slot, in your bauble's ring slot, and what it does is it corrects your tool choice. So if I want to cut down a tree and I'm carrying a pickaxe, it switches. It switches for me. It'll actually give you the tool that is required for the job. So axe, pick, nice. I love that. And then the other ring I want to make is going to require a rune. The Ring of No, not the Ring of Correction. Ring of the Mantle. This is haste, essentially. So we're going to need a Rune of Earth. Again, another one of those. Oh, and we already have one. Because when we made the Rune of Earth, it made 2 for us. So we might even already have everything we need. We just need a gold pick. Because, you know, gold is fast. And there we go. Ring of the Mantle. Gonna right click. And basically we now have Haste II. This is going to be really nice when we're mining because now we're going to be much faster. And we don't have to switch tools anymore. It's going to switch the tools for us. So when we come across some clay... Oh, when we come across some clay, we'll use our shovel. When we come across... Look at that. Look at how fast. Oh my gosh. This is insane. Ow. Look at that. That is nice. And we don't even have like the fastest tools yet. This does take mana. So you might want to take the ring off when you're not doing something that requires haste. It's also a ring that we can combine our mana tablet with, which will basically free up a slot in our inventory. So we can stick that in our bauble slot. And now our mana is not taking up space in our inventory. I really want to make the damaging lens. But it requires a Rune of Wrath, which requires a Rune of Winter, which requires snow. I don't know where there's snow nearby. Have I found any place with snow yet? Oh, yes. Over there by the village. That's right. Okay, I think we're going to do that. Fishing rod, mana steel, mana powder, sugarcane, and bone meal. Alright, so make the Rune of Water, which we're going to need for the Rune of Winter. Because of course, everybody eats cake in the winter, right? So earth, water, cake, snow, and wool. Wool. There we go. It's kind of funny seeing cake floating around like that. There we go. Oh, what are we out of? Oh my gosh. Oh, we have trees. I need to go break those trees. And you can put the living rock on right away. You don't have to wait till it's done. There we go. So as you saw, we got our other runes back. We got our earth and water back, and now we have our Rune of Winter. And now we're going to grab 2 diamonds. And we're going to bring them over here. Drop them on there. And then our Rune of Winter and 1 Rune of Earth. And I'll just put that on there. And while we're waiting for that, I'm going to go bore some trees. The Mana Blaster does respond to haste. So if we have our Ring of Chordata on, or our Ring of the Mantle on, we're going to go faster. Wow. A lot faster. Holy crap. Although it's going to use a lot more mana, of course, because we're using mana both for the Mana Blaster and for the Ring of Chordat, or the Ring of the Mantle. Alright, so we got all our runes back, and now we have the Rune of Wrath. Our first third tier rune. Alright, another mana lens, and we're going to combine that with our Rune of Wrath, and we now have a Rune of Damaging. Nice! So to take this lens off, we can just put it in our crafting grid, and we get the lens back, and then we can put this one in. And then we have a range weapon. So let's see how much damage this guy does. Oh, it did, what, about 5 hearts? Okay, so it's 2 hitting. 2 hitting. Whoa, why are you just standing there? What do you got left? Okay, so 3 hits zombies. Nice. Oh, you know what? It goes through my... Yeah, look at that. I got them both. See that? Nice. Actually, let's make sure we get that creeper at range. Now, let's see if this works. It does. It actually does. So it's a range weapon that works on Enderman. That's nice. Whew, that was a rough fight. By the way, if the noisy mana pool starts to get to you after a while, you can put some wool on it, and that'll quiet down a little bit. Unfortunately, you can't quiet these guys down, though. They're just noisy. There's not much we can do about it. So we covered our first 3 crafting mechanics in Botania, the Petal Apothecary, the Mana Pool, and the Runic Altar. We took a look at lenses. That was fun. And the Mana Blaster, at least that was fun for me. We made some Mana tools, some Mana Steel tools. I didn't make Mana Steel armor like I said I was going to, but it's basically, it's iron armor that's a little bit more durable, it's highly enchantable, and it repairs itself with mana. So I may make that in the future, or I may just skip to one of the other manas, because in the next episode, we're going to continue progressing in Botania. We're going to take a look at functional flora. We haven't looked at any of that yet. We've looked at generating flora. That would be flowers that generate mana, but we haven't looked at any flowers that actually do cool stuff for us. So we're probably going to play around a little bit with the Exo Flame and maybe some other interesting flora that like does stuff in the world and gives us some cool benefits. And we're going to continue progressing probably to Terra Steel and then to the Elven trade. So we'll be trading with the elves most likely in the next episode. So I do hope you join me for that. If you do, of course, have any questions at all about Botania, about anything we did today, about anything we didn't do, about maybe something I missed or didn't explain well enough, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below, or if you just have any ideas or suggestions or just want to say hi, go right ahead, do it in the comments, and I will read it and probably get back to you very shortly. So, and of course, if you did enjoy this, don't forget to click the like button and to join me next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.